Hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. And for those that are returning, welcome back. I appreciate you guys. So it's kind of sitting and thinking of everything that I've gone through in the last 9 years. And if you've been following along with some of my videos, I just recently, about a week or so ago, did a video on the 9 year cycle. So we all have a 9 year personal year cycle that we go through. And you can figure that out. I'll put the link below of how to figure that out. Um, but I'm in my year nine. So once you go through your year nine, you go back to, so next year, 2026 will be my year one again. And year nine is about endings. So if I look back 9 years ago, my last not year nine was the end of a 3 year relationship. And I ended up moving into my own place right at the end of that year. And then the next year was a year one, which is when I started this 9 year cycle that I'm finishing now. And that's when my father and spirit came to me to say, that you're about to go through this experience in so many words. Um, if I go back to my year nine before that, um, that's when my son had passed away. So, not saying that, a death will happen in your ninth year or something like that, but for one of my year nines, that's in 2007, that's when my son had passed away, my 19-year-old son. So, there was an ending in that way. Uh, so with that, um, I wanted to kind of give you the 7 stages of an ascension um, journey. Now, this is from my own experience. There may be more, maybe less, but kind of from what I've clumped together, looking back to from the past until now and kind of putting each of those stages into a section. This is kind of what I came up with. And maybe this will be helpful to you in your own journey. Okay, so I just wrote these down, so I'm just referring to them here. So I feel like the first stage is the preparation. So I would say, really, so if I'm looking at my 9 year cycle, from 2017 when I first got instructions and to go back to psychic school. Oops, sorry about that. Turn this off. Um, go back to psychic school. And then after I completed that, my father also told me I would be quitting my Wall Street job, which I did in 2019. Didn't know how that was going to happen, but it ended up happening. And it was kind of like this preparation for me to go on this journey. So that's the first stage is the preparation. The second part of it is the karmic release. So in 2020, I forgot to start this, my timer, sorry. 2020, I left the apartment that I was in and I went to go live with a family member in New Jersey, and that's where I was born and raised, and all my family was there. And there was for 2.5 years of releasing family and friends that I had there and any kind of old connection that I could not take with me into my soon to be new life. So it was a releasing of all those old karmic connections. Okay. So, third stage, now after leaving that family member's house in the end of 2022, because I was there for 2.5 years. Um, I call that stage going into now your physical tests. Now, this may not happen for you. Um, I think because of what I am supposed to do as my soul's purpose, I needed to go through like the homeless stage. So going through being physically tested in being homeless, because now I need to have a purpose in advocating for the homeless. That's going to be a part of my purpose. You may not have that physical aspect to your journey, but I say for my third one is the physical test. So from after I left that member's house and finishing that karmic release, now going into how many years was it? 2.5 years? 2.5 years of these physical tests of being homeless, then being okay, then being homeless, or something else happening, and being very trying and like you just want to give up. Again, because your purpose is different than mine, you may not have to go through something like that. The fourth thing is I'm going to say like a spiritual warfare type of thing, where you're going to have to deal with people who are going to test you spiritually. So I dealt with numerous people who on a you know how someone says people are like gaslighting you or they're being manipulative or just doing things to you that can really test you mentally, not physically doing anything to you, but are really trying you in some way. And that's where the spiritual warfare comes in. Okay, so you're going to have to go through some kind of test where people are kind of mentally um, challenging you, but it's kind of, to me, it's a spiritual warfare type of thing. The fifth thing is after going through that, I know I kind of went through this one, it's acting up, this kind of mental mind shift where understanding that things of my past, some things that I still carried with me, having an adjustment to that and saying that I can't take those things with me. Um, so in my last video that I did it on the journey, I was talking about, just being a social drinker, but knowing that for health reasons and for my own peace of mind, I could not continue to do those things. Okay, I had to cut those things off. So there was this whole mental thing of I can't take those things with me. Also, just taking care of myself and putting myself first, setting boundaries with people and things that I did not do in the past. We're on 6 now. So then you also have a emotional recalibration where how people treated you in the past that emotionally you were coming out like really emotionally damaged and always felt like I was on the defense, like someone was trying to get me, like someone was approaching me and I thought they were going to say something to me, like I was preparing myself, my defense in my head before they even said anything to me. Um, and I had to adjust my thinking to say that people are no longer against you, Marilyn. That's all in the past. You released all those karmic patterns and people coming into your life now are going to be good people. So there's this whole like emotional adjustment, I call recalibration, that I needed to go through. And then lastly, after going through these shifts, and then during that time, I think that emotional um, and the mental shift is kind of was during this isolation period that I've been in for this like last 4 months, where spirit says, okay, it's time for you to sit with yourself. You've been with other people going through this breakdown. Now it's time to rebuild who you are exactly now at this point, okay, or who you're going to become. What are you not going to take with you as you move on? And then now moving into having done all those things, and then number 7 is going to be moving into your manifestation. Okay, you've passed all the tests, you've got through everything. Like I say, it's now I'm completing 9 years of this journey, and it's time for me to manifest. Okay, so hopefully that helps for you. I'll just read it real quick again. So the first one was the preparation. The second one was the karmic release. The third one was going through physical tests for myself. I'm not sure if you will go through that. The fourth one was going through this spiritual warfare. The fifth one was this mental mind shift. 6 was the emotional recalibration. And then the 7th is receiving your manifestation. It's like receiving your gifts, receiving your abundance for going through all these tests. And like I say, this took me 9 years to go through. So it's nothing easy. If someone says, oh, yeah, I did my ascension, I went through ascension, everything. No, it's not an overnight thing. This has been 9 years. When I started this, I was like, what, 51? And now I'm going to be 60 years old. And like, I feel like there's not a sense of loss of time because you have the promise of getting that time back. But um, just looking back and say, when I started this, like I was a lot younger. And but the achievement and the changes that you've gone through during that time, and believe me, it is not an easy thing. But you were chosen, right? You chose this path for a reason. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully, this helps you, and I'll see you in the next one.